Hello, everybody. We are back, ladies, for another week of Nights with Nora. I'm so excited to be here again this week. And as y'all know, I always got a special guest with me. This person has been on here already before, and she dropped the gems last time on us, and we really enjoyed her. She's a good friend of mine now, and her and Miss Gail work together closely as well. So y'all know she's gonna bring the fire for us tonight. So y'all get your pens and papers out. She's gonna really bring it. But before we get started, I want to remind you, ladies, that we do this live chat every week on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And I do have special guests every week. We'll be going through different topics. Right now, we're doing our women empowerment series where we're trying to empower you guys. Today, we're talking about overcoming fears. So if you ladies have been fear or you know anybody that's been in fear, please share this video with them, share this to your page, and share this to your groups, tag your friends, because people really need to hear this message on overcoming fear. I don't know all what Miss Crystal has for us tonight, but I know it's going to be fire, and I know it's going to be from her personal experiences, and I know she's going to talk to your hearts tonight. So just lean into her and just really glean from what she has to say, because I know it's going to be wisdom and it's going to be food for your soul. But before we start, I want to go ahead and pray for you ladies tonight, because I always want to do that before I get started. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick prayer with you guys, and we're going to jump right into this thing. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you right now for each and every one of the women that are listening to the sound of my voice, God. I want to thank you for Miss Crystal and the wisdom she's about to share with these ladies upon tonight, God, for the spiritual parts of ourselves that are going to be broken, but broken in a good way, broken so we can be fixed and we can be more like you, God, that we'll continue to try to reach the mark, that when we see things about ourselves that we don't like, that we won't scour or be scared of them, that we will embrace them, we will confront them. This I pray in your most precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right. I'm going to
Yes.
go ahead and let her introduce herself, guys, and we're going to get right into this. Go ahead, Miss Crystal, and
Well,
introduce yourself.
hello. Greetings from Redefining Life. That is my life coaching, I say ministry versus business. The business comes from the part of helping women find their identity and their purpose in life. And the ministry comes from the part of me ministering to your soul, helping you seek out who God has called you to be in any kind of adverse situation. And so I've been doing life coaching for the last 8 years now. I have a master's in psychology with the emphasis in leadership coaching. So leadership is what we do as women. That's why they call us queens. And so the queendom that we create is the leadership that others will follow. So
Wow. I love that. I hadn't heard that quite like that about queens. I like that, Miss Crystal. Can
thank
you
you.
say it one more time?
The leadership, I help people with the leadership, but the leadership is the queen, it's the queendom that we have within us. People follow us because we are leaders. And because we are leaders, as women, we are the queens that they follow.
Wow. I like that. I really do like that. I'm so excited that you came on here with me today, and that you agreed to talk about this topic, because I know that it's a sensitive topic for a lot of reasons, and mainly because people don't like to share their fears. People want to cover up the fears and kind of put on a brave face. That may not
Yeah.
be the case for all women, but I know it's definitely been my story. It's better to look brave and kind of hide your stuff than to put it all out there in front of people, because sometimes people can use your weaknesses against you. So I
That's
want to cover that. I want to hide my fear and pretend like I'm bold or brave, because that seems to go over better than being in fear, or admit to people that you may have some anxiety, or you may be anxious, or you may be insecure. So we're here today to talk to you ladies a little bit about exactly, how to overcome fear. So so my question to you is, what has been one of your biggest fears, and how did you overcome it?
my biggest fear, and this is why it's so important to me to share this with you, is my self identity, not knowing who I am or was at that.
Mm.
That was the biggest fear that I had, because not realizing until I got to this certain point in my life that I was a people's pleaser.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I pleased everybody in a way to where I digressed and I didn't know who I was. So I was afraid of what people might say about me. I was afraid if people liked me. I was afraid if somebody was going to hurt me. It was just all about that fear factor.
Mm.
Um, Even though I knew that God did not give us a spirit of fear, I didn't quite understand the the power of His Word in that fear base, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because fear is a natural human, uh, what I want to call it, emotion.
Right.
So I didn't know because I didn't know who I was, so I didn't know how to balance that, if you will. So those are
Mm.
things that I feared uh, in my life, even as a little girl. Uh, being, and I hope this doesn't take anybody out, but being uh, molested as a child, you
Mm.
know, I tend to um, want to, like shrink because I didn't
Mm.
want the attention on me because I felt like that attention would bring somebody else, to
Right.
touch me when I didn't want to be touched,
Wow.
that type of thing. So
Hmm.
that was one.
Wow. Yeah, I know some people, so many people do get into fear behind things that happened to them in the past. A lot
Mhm.
of times when you think about fear and where it started, you know what I mean? Where that fear even initiate from? Because as a child, you come into this world and you're fearless. You know, people
Absolutely.
ask you what you want to be when you grow up, and you'll say anything. And then
Absolutely.
as you get older, you realize, oh, that might be that's going to be a hard feat to be. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I can't just bust up and be a police officer. I need to go to school, maybe training or a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever your aspiration may be, or an actor. You know, sometimes we have big dreams to be millionaires. Or we
Hmm.
have big dreams to be these things that we have no idea what it entails to get to that place in life. And things can happen to us throughout life and they knock us off of what our course was before. And it's
Absolutely.
fear that gripped us. And
Yeah.
so sometimes we need to go back to that moment where that fear gripped us. And you can really see how this even started.
That's
So
it.
I began to go back in my life to where what happened to me to where I got off of what I really wanted to do. You know,
Hmm.
because I found myself in corporate America working a job I didn't know I didn't want to work at all. I was there for the money. But I
Hmm.
knew my heart was in ministry. My heart was with you guys. My heart was on these type of platforms. But I was too scared to do that. I didn't know what it took to be that in life. And people had told me that you can't do that. You know, you have to
Yeah.
have a job. You need to go to school.
Hmm.
You need to do
Hmm.
this, and that. And this is how you're gonna be famous, or this is how you're gonna have money, and this is how you're gonna survive. People don't get famous overnight. Why would you be famous? You're from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Nobody knows us in Oklahoma. You got to move to Chicago. You got to move to Atlanta. You got to move to
California.
LA or Dallas or
Yeah.
somewhere where you can get
Yeah.
exposure. You can't
Yeah.
come out of Tulsa and be this. So if you're not willing to move, you might as well go to work. And I believe that about myself. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I went to
Yes.
work, I did the school thing, I went through those jobs, but something about it didn't set right with me. And when I began to go back to what people said, I found the root of my fear.
Yeah. That's it.
And so, talk to the ladies a little bit about how that fear paralyzed you in
Yeah.
that moment when you were in that situation where you had been dealt with the sexual molestation and you were paralyzed. What are some of the things that I know you mentioned a couple, but what are some of the things that it stopped you from doing? Like you stopped in your tracks and you seen right where it kind of took you off your course.
Man, it stopped me from, again, going back to my identity. It stopped me from knowing who I was, who I wanted to be, who I desired to be. Um, some of the things that sparked up was, like I mentioned, about somebody else touching me. I'm gonna be honest. I even allowed food to take over so I can be heavy. Because they think skinny is the beautiful thing. Heaviness,
Yeah. Mm.
so I was eating, 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 trying to console that inner person that wanted to come out, but I wouldn't let that person come out because I just wanted to cover it up. I didn't want nobody to see me as being beautiful. I didn't want nobody to even say hello. If you said hello, it, it became more of a fight with me. I wanted to
Yeah.
beat up everybody because I
Oh
became
my
angry.
goodness.
And to look at me, you wouldn't have known that, but that's what I was. I would soon to hit you in the head with a pop bottle back in the day. I'm being honest, carried a razor blade under my tongue. I would wanted to hurt somebody to prevent them from hurting me. But I
Wow.
was broken. I went, how you go to family members and tell them and then they didn't believe you. So that was like taking a piece of paper, and I wish I had some. I do have some. It was just like taking a piece of paper and just ripping it up like this. That's what I felt like. You see all these pieces? I
Yeah.
had all these things going on inside of me in my head that I was just one of those individuals that I just stopped caring about life.
Mm.
I started to, dibble dab in things that I knew I shouldn't have been. Now, mind you, I've been in church since I was 3 years old,
Mm.
but
Right.
all of that fell short because of what I allowed. And Nora, you said this, and I do want to share this. I allowed that photo of what happened to me lead me in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you hit it on the head when you said we take whatever we have in our minds and our thoughts, and that's how we maneuver. That photo that I had in my mind is what led me outside of who God has called me to be and who I was supposed to be.
Wow. That's so good though, because I feel like it's so many women that are held captive
Hmm.
by their fear. And that
Yep.
photo, like you said, that incident, that moment, or that time that happened to me, I'm gonna forever hold that.
Yep.
And when we were doing the vow, we were talking about giving people back their stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were talking about the men in our life. But I think that sometimes our parents have given us things, or maybe a teacher has given us
Yeah.
things, or an older sibling, or anyone who came in your life and took you off your path, your God given path,
Hmm.
gave you something. And at one point, you got to give that back, right? We got to let that go in order to get to that next step or get over that hurdle of fear. And hey, ladies, I see y'all down in the comments saying hello to us. I really appreciate y'all being here. Thank y'all for saying hi to me. But it's just sometimes that we get off of that path
Hmm.
because I mean, we get on that path and we get blocked because people give us their stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes our parents give us their old trauma and their old
Mhm.
things, and they tell us, what we can and cannot be, or they may show us what we can't. Because people teach you lessons, whether they tell you they're teaching you or not.
Mhm.
I was in my car and I was thinking on my mother, and I'm gonna give a quick story, y'all. But when I was 12 years old, my mom packed all us up, 10 kids in a suburban, and moved in the middle of the night. Left my dad. They split. They divorced that night. My dad was an abusive alcoholic, and she
Mhm.
left in the middle of the night. Trash bags, took all the kids, and went to Houston, Texas, in the middle of the night. What that She didn't tell me she was teaching me a lesson, but what she taught me that day is that when people mistreat you, you leave. You
Yeah.
don't stick around and allow people
Good.
to abuse you, mistreat you. And it took her 20 years to leave my dad. They had already been married for years before I came into the picture. But even in that moment, she taught me a dramatic lesson, right? So we are being taught lessons without people teaching us. They
That's
didn't
right.
have to sit down and write it on a whiteboard or a blackboard, but they teach you lessons by the way that they live their life. Now, what if she would have stayed? She would have taught me a different kind of lesson,
That's
that it's
right.
okay to sit and allow people to abuse you and to mistreat you. So, my question to you ladies is, what lessons have people taught you in your past?
Yes.
How did you get to this point that you are in this fear that you can't get to the next step or can't get to the next level? And so it really invoked in me so much that I came on this live and I brought you on here too, Miss Crystal, because I really wanted people to begin to understand that picture. Like you said, that was such a great example of how we take that picture and we carry it and we hold it and we go through our lives. So when we talk about fear, what is what are what are some things that you do? What did you do? Because obviously I'm talking to a healed woman. What did you do to get over that fear? We know about what happened to you, but it stopped you from doing. I know that you had a transformation.
Oh
Talk a
yeah.
little bit about that overcoming, that part where you had a victory and you got through what happened to you.
There are so many circumstances that I could share, but just sticking on the one that I spoke about here. Um, I, I grew up to a point to where I had to realize what was the opposite, and I call it the opposite of overcoming, and that's
Mm,
defeat.
mm,
I got to a point to where if no one would believe me, if no one would hear me, I had to hear myself.
mm,
Oftentimes, uh, in my life coaching, I always talk about, and I have to accredit, and I don't forget her name. I'm sorry, but she would always say, I had to learn to rescue myself.
mm,
And that's what I did. That's when my overcoming process of the fear began to shed. Kind of like when I was ripped to pieces because of what somebody was doing. The same, when I'm talking about the opposite, remember, the same thing was I began to shed the defeat. And
mm,
when I began to shed that defeat from my life, I began to know the identity that I have and my purpose for my life. And this is why when I talked about queens, queens make decisions about how to respond. That's the
mm,
difference. So when you become the not the queen that people say, oh, how queen, how king. No, 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 no. Literally, knowing your identity is a queen. You
mm.
begin to shed those things of fear. You begin to understand the revelation knowledge that God did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power. Queens hold power
Yeah.
and they have a sound mind. Remember, I talk about making a decision. That's called a sound mind
Mm.
on how to respond to situations. Because to be honest, guys, I could have been doing life right now. No, 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 seriously. And I thank God for this because I took a knife that I had. It was sharpened and I don't know what. And I took it to this person's throat from the ear to ear and it didn't even cut him.
Wow.
But it was, I'm telling you guys, it was sharp. That's how I knew. That's the pivotal point in my life when it happened. I could have been dead because he could have killed me. I
Mm,
could have been doing life because I could have killed him.
mm,
So you have to know, like Nora was saying, you have to know when to get out those situations. What lessons have been taught to you to keep you in a safe, peaceful mindset, a place that you can be able to make those sound decisions about how to respond. See, I didn't do that at first
wow.
because I didn't know who I was. But when I found that person, when I found out that resilient you inside of me, my whole life began to change.
Wow.
So,
That's so good. I like that. That is really good because I mean that's a great perspective, Miss Crystal, when you say that because I know so many women they get into situations like you said, violence. I mean, we weren't talking about domestic violence, but I mentioned it earlier, and you just talked about it as
right,
well. And we've accepted that in the past, fear of being alone, fear, whatever fears you have that keep you, even if you feared the perpetrator, whatever
mhm,
the fear is that's holding you, or you've allowed yourself in a situation where people harm and hurt you, you
right,
have to begin to reteach yourself, relearn who you are, your identity, because when you don't know your worth, when you
mhm,
don't know what you're worth,
right,
you begin to accept any and everything. And that's a cool thing. I was really thinking about this, and I was even telling it to my niece. I have a 15-year-old niece, and your value does not change no matter where you go.
yeah,
Whoever you are who you are. Whether you're
yeah,
in China, whether you're in the United States, whether you're no matter where you are, whether you're up, if you under the bridge, you still got it. Whether you
yeah,
live in a mansion, you still got it. I was thinking about that concept. If I'm a good musician, I'm a good musician whether I'm broke or whether I'm rich.
That's it.
Musician, whether you know me or 1 million people know me, I'm still got the talent. I am who I am. And once people realize they are who they are, they take a lot less stuff from
That's
people.
it.
You no longer have to worry about what they think or say. I know you mentioned a little bit about people pleasing, and that comes from a place of fear. Fear
That's
that
it.
people won't like you. Fear that they're going to be upset by what you do or your decisions or how you go. And then you box yourself. I remember being so deep in that people pleasing that I forgot what I liked. I couldn't even decide what restaurant I wanted to go to.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to go where everybody else wanted to go. Whatever made the group happy, whatever made folks happy, um, and whatever made people feel well. And I had
Mhm.
a comedic side to myself as well. And I just wanted to make everybody laugh. At my honest, I'm tired, bone tired, maybe not enjoying the party or wherever we at, but I would come out with this persona to get everybody all riled up. And I was always the cheerleader, no matter what my mood was. I had to
Right.
give people back their stuff. If you having a bad day, that's on you. You got to find some way to cheer it up because I may not have all that energy.
Now
I had
that's
to
it.
stop giving away pieces of myself that I did not possess. I was empty because of that. But it all stemmed from the people pleasing parts of myself. Fear that these people wouldn't enjoy me. Fear that I couldn't go into this room and be with these people unless I was funny, unless I was expressive, unless I was the room cheerer. I could never just sit down and be
You hiding
still.
behind all
Yes. Mm-hmm.
hiding, so
Yeah.
they can't really see that real person. They gonna see the
Mm-hmm.
comedian because when I make them laugh, kind of like the little dance, then they don't like
Exactly.
me, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
the understanding is they gonna talk about you regardless.
Exactly.
So that's why you got to know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and know that fear has its limit. It is a natural human response. It is, but it has its place. It really has its place. And it took me time to learn that. And so, one of the things I wanted to share is that, imagine what could be the worst thing to happen to you. Imagine it. If you imagine the worst thing that could happen to you, you've already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it does happen, guess what? You've already seen it.
Exactly.
So then you can visualize yourself in a happy place to bring you up another level. It just becomes a piece about you. You'll learn how to flow with yourself and with the fear. This is how you overcome the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's there, but it's like overcoming, meaning that you're gonna overstand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there, but you can't move it. But you just keep going over and over, saying, "Hey, you gonna lie where I need you to lie. You can't do what I don't allow you to do." But you gotta understand, fear is there for a safety measurement too.
Right.
So this is what I'm talking about, a balance. Once you get into your queendomship, you will understand the balance of ruling and having the power over it and it not over you.
Right. I like that. Yeah, because sometimes it is good to have a balance because you want to be
Mhm.
fearful of something. You don't want to just be reckless in life and have no boundaries.
Right,
And
right.
be boundless. And you do need to have fear of something. Going broke. I need to get a job or whatever I need to do to keep my lights
Yeah,
on. I can't just go out here willy nilly. So I think a little bit of fear in some situations or a little bit of apprehension about some things is
yeah,
okay, but you just
yeah.
got to have a bit ability not to become consumed with your fears
That,
to where it cripples you. And
mm-hmm.
I know that there are women out here listening or will listen later on who may be in a situation that fear has crippled them. Fear has put you in a spot where you just cannot move. Whatever that next step may be for you, it may be getting into a relationship or starting a new job, going back to school, whatever it is that handicaps you or puts you in a place where you just crippled with fear. You can't make a decision. You talked a little bit about being indecisive
Yes.
and overcoming and not being able to make a decision because
Mm.
even when you don't make a decision, you're still making a decision. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Life gonna happen regardless whether you make the
Absolutely.
decision or not. Something gonna happen, so you might as well get in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, so for women, what advice would you give to women who are stuck in that place where they say, I just don't know what to do. I want to go to the next level. I want to do this. I want to say that. I want to move here. I want to do that. But I just do not believe in myself. I do not think I can do this. I'm living in fear. What is some good advice to those women that you could talk to them about tonight?
I would say the first thing is to be yourself. And I know you're probably thinking like, that's what I've been and it hasn't gotten me thus as far. That's because you apprehensive about being who you are. But if you be yourself, be that person that creative side of you, be that person that is the loving side of you. Just be that person and begin to be conscious about who you are. Because
Right.
what's happening when we get stifled is because we're not conscious about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We live more on the subconscious because that's that little Photoshop that I was talking about. But it's the consciousness that's going to propel you to move forward. So if you're conscious about your intentions to be yourself, you'll find yourself taking small steps, but understand that those small steps in your thinking, your decision making, the small steps in your actions, the small steps in your responses, they become greater as you keep doing them. Little by little, you chip off of that, right? And the more you chip off that old ice, what they call it back in the day, you'll end up having a bunch of ice cubes and no longer an ice sculpture that's right in your face. So, so it breaks it down so you can be who you are supposed to be. That takes me back to saying, when you find your identity, being yourself, when you find your purpose in your consciousness of your intentions, that chipping away of all that old stuff, all that stuff that's holding you back, that's beating you down, that's keeping you fearful, will
Mm-hmm.
become your I call it like your footstool at
Yes,
that point.
yes,
So
yes.
when you're able to walk on those things, just like Peter walked on water, you'll be like, what? Like I said a minute ago about visualize what's worse. You know, imagine what could be worse. You've already done that.
Right,
It's kept you back this long. Now it's time to do something different to make something new happen for you in your life.
right. Minimizing those giants,
Yeah,
and it feels so big, when you up against these situations where you feel like I could just never do this. This will never happen for me, or
yeah,
I can't get to this next level. What can I do to overcome this giant?
yeah,
It's just, and sometimes I remember being in places in my life where I just could not see myself that way. It's just too much. It's no way that I'll ever be able to do that. I would say that, and that self talk and that self what you say to yourself. Sometimes we are our own worst nightmare.
that's it.
We are our biggest critics.
This,
Sometimes it's not the haters. It's not the naysayers. It's you and what you're seeing in the mirror, or what you're thinking in your own mind. And I know when I got my mind right, when I got my mind, I made up my mind that I was gonna do what I needed to do to get to
yes,
where I needed to be. It
yeah,
wasn't anything that came outside of me that was
mm-hmm,
able to stop me, because I
mm-hmm,
had already beat myself up and came up with every bad scenario in my own head. So it didn't matter what people said. I was like, I already thought about that. I got that under control. I already thought that thought. I'm good, sis. I got this. I don't know what negative thing, because people come to you and tell you what you can't do because they
that's right,
wasn't able to do it. They'll
that's
come to
right,
you and say, "Oh, I did it that way and I wasn't." Well, I'm not you, sweetie. I got a whole nother plan and I serve this God, and He
yeah,
already gave me what I'm supposed to do. So I got this. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to put those naysayers to rest.
that's
And
it,
in the first person you got to put to rest is yourself, because you are your own. You will sabotage what God has for you because of the negative thinking that you have in your mind.
yeah,
So, and I was thinking about that scripture about being transformed by the renewing of your
new,
mind.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Repetitively say to yourself that you can do this, and that really works. A lot of people like say it's meditation or chanting or whatever the case, whatever you call it. It's biblical. It came from a biblical source. Whether
that's right,
people twisted it, made it different things. Being transformed by the renewing of your mind and self-talk is a biblical principle that you
yes,
can learn from when you say to yourself, "Hey, I can do this. I got this." You know what I'm saying? I prep my own self before I go
yeah,
outside. So when I go outside and people tell me I'm cute, I'm like, "Girl, I already knew." I
yeah,
already knew I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it starts really within your own self and where you're at as an individual. You know what I mean? So I liked
and
what you said
before
about
you
that.
hit it,
Go
when
ahead.
you said it's the purpose, you hit it
Mm-hmm.
on the head. When you before, and this goes for any woman. I mean, there are even the ones that don't wear makeup, whatever.
Right.
When you before you leave that house, before you go and you look at yourself in that mirror, before you walk out that door. While you getting dressed, you're looking at yourself. So you right, you hit it on the head. You have to look at you in
Yeah,
order for you to for others to recognize really who you are, but that's another topic. But you have to look at you in order for you to be satisfied with you.
exactly.
So if you dressing up to for somebody else out there to see, and you forgetting about who you are, then that's when you lose everything. That fear factor just builds and builds and builds. But when you look at yourself and say, girl, you did that, and you walk out that door, you feeling good, you hype, right?
Yes.
Can't nobody, somebody can say, girl, I don't like the shoes. You say, I don't care, I like
Right,
them.
like them.
You know?
Right.
So you when you get
Yes,
that feeling, I love that, because when you get that feeling about, oh, this is me. I'm doing this for me. I'm moving forward for me. Everything around you begin to change.
exactly.
Everything.
Wow.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you
No,
hit
I
it
like what
at
you said. You
together.
know, you said everything. I can't even remember how the quote went, Miss Crystal, but I like what you said about when you wake up, everything around you is gonna change.
Yeah,
And I mean, people will start to get out the way because they don't have a choice but to recognize the change that occurred, because who you used to be, you are not anymore. When you stop walking in fear, everything, you stand taller, you stand straighter. It's kind of like defeating a bully, and it may not be a physical bully. It may be some mental bully that you overcome within your mind. But when you go up against that bully and that bully can't shake you no more, it's gonna move on to its next victim, because they already know if I go up on Nora or Crystal, I'm not gonna make it. So
absolutely.
let me go on the other way. The enemy, you don't live here anymore, because that's the source of all of it. Whether it's a person or a thought, the enemy sends it all anyway. So you got to
Yeah,
recognize him on his own set. So
yeah,
when the enemy realizes that you got it, he's in trouble at that point, because I can't mess with her no more. Not in this area anymore.
that's
Not in her insecurity about her weight, or not in her insecurity about this new job, or
that's
in her relationship. I can mess with her because she's overcame this. I'm gonna come another way. Yeah, you got to go find something else, devil, because this one right here ain't gonna do it. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So
I'm
once you
protected
wake
all the
up,
way around. There you
man,
go.
yes, powerful. And I think, that to me is how me and you even got here today. Like the
Yes,
fact that we able to tell people, hey, when you wake up, it's because we woke up. We're not talking from something far off or willy nilly. We woke up. We had to go through the
right.
process of being insecure, or being less than, or people pleasing, or whatever, and still fighting, still battling. We're not perfect people. But to
Absolutely.
come back and tell people, listen, sis, you can do this. You
That's
can
right.
get to a point in life where people's opinion about you does not matter. You can get
That's
to
it.
a point in your life where you don't feel that fear, but if you feel it, you're gonna go through it anyway. And we
Mhm.
can't be hard. We can't be scared. Me and Gil talked about this last time. But you cannot be scared to punch, because that's the thing that you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to break stuff off of yourself, and sometimes
That's
that
it.
breaking hurts. It
Yes.
hurts when people expose things about you, or say
Yes.
things about your character that you don't like. But you think, hey, maybe she right. I am selfish, or maybe she right. I am a gossip. I don't
Hmm.
know what thing that we hide, or what I think. Everybody got their thing. Nobody's perfect, so we all do something. But when we are confronted, it is our divine purpose, or our healing purpose, that
That's
journey that you own, to confront that and to take hold to that and begin to try to do something about it. Don't find
that's
out you a gossip and stay a gossip. Don't
that's it.
find out that you this way and just say, oh, that's how I am, I'm just gonna live with it. No, you can change. You
You
can
can change.
transform. You can
That's right.
transform. You can be a better woman. You may not be perfect, but you're
Yeah.
not gonna deal with this no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
And
sure
so,
do.
yeah, it's
I
just so
sure do.
good. And go ahead, Miss Crystal, you get ready to say something.
Now, I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. I used to be the one to say, "That's who I am." I mean, look in my head. That's who I am. And if you don't like it, don't come near me, because I don't care. Because I'm
Yeah.
hurt. That's out of fear. You
Yes.
see what I mean? The fear
Mhm.
of don't want to grow up, fear that don't want to change, fear don't whatever that fear was, you know, that was me.
Yeah.
And so as time went on in my life, I began to I'm just like you said about meditating on God's word. I began to just find one scripture,
Yeah.
one, not the whole chapter, not what pastor, reverend, preacher, bishop, da 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 said. No, just one scripture,
Right.
one scripture. And it could, and I had several moving around, but that one scripture that I love is that Psalms 23. Everybody know that one, right?
Tell us
But when
about it. Tell us about it.
I learned that part, and Gail and I talk about this a lot too. When I learned that he said he will make my enemies my footstool, that changed my whole life.
Wow.
That one changed my whole life because remember, I was afraid,
Yeah.
that fear. But when he says, when him would make mine enemies my footstool. He prepares a table in the presence of my enemies. So when I learned that, I didn't have any more fear. Now I'm not saying I'm perfect now, but I didn't have any more fear when it comes to worrying about what somebody said to me, worrying about if somebody liked me, worrying about if somebody's gonna date me, whatever.
Yeah, because it's
You
so
know,
much. Yeah.
I let all that go, just like a bird free in the air. I was just free. I was free from that. And
Yeah.
so, guys, I can honestly tell you, in my almost 50 some odd years, I'm free. I'm at peace with my life, with myself. Now, do I have problems? Yeah. But remember, a queen makes a decision on how she responds.
Wow.
So that made me, I'm not lashing out at people. I'm not cursing you out. I'm not talking about you. I'm not trying to put whatever in your drink, whatever. I'm not doing any of that. You know what I'm doing for you now is I'm praying for you. I'm
Mm.
praying that God elevates you to the level that you want to be elevated.
Yeah.
So that way you can become like the giraffe and no longer the turtle. And I love
So
so.
what would a queen do? That's the question that people need to be asking themselves. What would a queen do in this situation? You know what I mean? That's so
Mm-hmm.
good. I like that, Miss Crystal, because that's what people need to, because we make such brass decisions sometimes because you don't know what decision to make. But when you
Right.
start thinking about what would a healed woman do, what would a queen do in this situation when people come against them, you remind yourself of who you are and whose you are. You know
That's
what
it.
I'm saying? You got to
That's
do immediate thought process, and these things happen momentarily because situations pop up on you. These little devils don't tell you they coming. They don't call and say, "Hey, I'm finna mess up your day today, Nora." They come at you. You don't know which.
but Miss
Go ahead.
Nora, you know they coming though. Why
Exactly.
you be proactive.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that way
Yes,
you don't
ma'am.
have to trip with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he told you he made your enemy, he will make your enemies your footstool.
Footstool.
So why
Right.
you tripping?
You knew I was coming.
I'm just
Yes,
saying.
that's what his job is, to rob, kill, and
Absolutely.
destroy. Yes. And
Absolutely.
take from us to make us feel less than. And I think also, what you said with identity, when we recognize who our enemy is, we understand fully what we are up against. Then we
Absolutely.
won't be caught off guard. Just like you said, we won't be caught off guard because we already knew you. Our devil already knew you was coming. I knew
Absolutely.
you wanted me left for dead in the situation. I was prepared for you. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Because
Yeah.
queens are prepared. We're healed women. At that point, we understand that this is what the enemy does. He tries to make me feel unconfident. He
Mm-hmm.
tries to make me feel stuck and still. He tries
Mm-hmm.
to make me feel like I can't do it. I'm less than these other women. I should be in competition with my sisters. I should not be collaborating with them. I should be in competition. I need to be better than them. And that comes too from people pleasing, which is associated with fear as well.
Yes.
Fear that
Right.
the person next to you is going to do better than you. And
That's
people
it.
are not going to like you as much as she is. You're not as
Mm-hmm.
eloquent or and I struggled with that too. Being from North Tulsa, I get into these rooms with people who were not from where I was from. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're going through college and stuff or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, unless you're going to an HBCU,
Mm-hmm.
go through these schools with predominantly, white people, and you're a person of color, you seem to want to level up to their level. You just feel out of place. You get into a place of fear. Oh no, I don't fit in. Oh no, I can't speak like them. I don't know all the things that they know, or I haven't had the privileges throughout my life that they had. So maybe I shouldn't be here. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? All
Absolutely.
types of things that the enemy will give you or hand to you And these people ain't said nothing to me. I didn't put my own self in fear. Ain't
That's
nobody
it.
said nothing to me. I'm over here tripping, nervous, all from my own personal thoughts about
That's
these situations. But then I go back to what you said. What would a queen do?
mm-hmm.
What would a queen do in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Remember who you are and whose you are. And then
Absolutely.
the game changes, right? The game
Absolutely.
changes, man. People begin to see you different. You see yourself different first, and then people will start seeing you different. Oh,
Don't,
she's confident. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Don't you listen? Don't you walk in flats differently than you do in heels?
Absolutely.
So I'm just I'm
Yes.
when you
Yes.
know who you are and you got on those heels, you strutting, right?
Yeah.
You letting it all work. But when you got on flats, you probably sliding or whatever. But I'm just saying, a queen understands who she is,
Yeah.
the times and the circumstances of her life.
Yes. And it don't
That
matter.
that's right. That's where the breakdown comes in. The breakdown meaning that all those things are broken off of you and you shed those things and you're able to walk upright because now you know who you are. It's a battle and it's going to be a battle. Just like Nora said, the Satan, that's his job. But your battle is to put on the full armor of God. So
Mm.
when you walking upright in your heels, honey, strutting your stuff, Satan, like, I can't, like Nora said it. He said, I can't get to her. I can't get to her any kind of way. So now I'm gonna mess with her husband.
Yeah.
So now he gonna do this little snakely thing trying to get to your husband. But a queen still is powerful
Mm-hmm.
and knows how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
She knows how to fight that battle. She knows how to
Mm-hmm.
stand her ground. She knows what to do for her husband because she is his mate.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So when you are mated with that guy, you know everything about him. So when Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy him, you are able to go to battle because now you know who you are and you
Mm-hmm.
know whose you are, and you go there because he got your back, your front and your
Wow.
side and everything. So
That is so good because it's like when you don't know who you are, you disarmed. You have
yes,
no defense against what's coming against you. You have no idea, that it is coming because you don't even know who you are. You confused, and the
yes,
the enemy likes us confused. He likes us abused and confused and in fear.
mm-hmm.
And a lot
Yeah,
of times when we're in that place, the reason why we're so scared is because we don't have a clue of how we're gonna get out the situation that we in.
mm-hmm.
You kind of clueless. You don't know what your identity is. You don't you struggling. But when you get out of that fear, when you get a sense of whose you are and who you are, you begin to be strong.
Yeah,
Your defense mechanisms come up. And the
yes,
cool thing about that, the really cool God thing about when your defense mechanisms come up for you, you can defend everybody around you. They don't
that's it.
even have to know. You know what I'm
That's
saying? Your children don't have to be in a queen stage. Your husband may not have walked into his fullness. Your sister may not have it all together, but you got it together. And the cool thing about this is you can cover the people around you. So you
that's it.
become like a superhero to the
Yes.
people that surround you. I thought about that movie, and I watch a lot of superhero movies, and I was thinking about the um, the movie with Captain America. When he
Okay.
put a shield up, he was not only able to protect himself, but he was able to protect everybody around him because it
That's it.
becomes a shield for you,
That's good.
right? And that's just so amazing to me because I walk through the world and I walk through my life right now and I feel like I got something. You know what I'm saying? Like I already
Yes.
know I'm protected. That all
Yes.
I have to do is from the name of Jesus and
Yes.
remember who I am in those moments and I
Yes.
automatically get happy. Bad stuff happened to me, whatever. I have a rough day with my kids. My
Yes.
marriage may not be going the way. You have those up and down roller coasters or whatever life gives. It may be a death in the family. I immediately remember who I am and whose I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
go into panic mode like I used to. I
That's
remember in my life, coming out of a abusive home, I had panic attacks.
mm-hmm.
They was panic attacks at the time until I got older and did some therapy and found
Uh-huh.
out that was happening to me. But I
Mm-hmm.
would go into full on panic attacks with the
Mm-hmm.
sweat, the breaking down, throwing up, all of the situations. Didn't know why that was happening to me. It would happen at the most random times, usually when I was under stress. But
Uh-huh.
once I found out what the source was, what was happening, and what was causing it, things begin to immediately change. You got to begin to understand who you are, what
Right.
you are, how this happened, going back to how we first started this conversation. At what point did you get in fear? So
That's
it's
it.
all so good. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's just been such a good conversation. Do you have anything else for the ladies, Miss Crystal? I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add.
I don't. I just, well, this one little thing. I just want you to remember, you know, I would say 99% of women all across the world, maybe in even other countries, I've never been to those, but have this experience called fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say 60% of those women out of those 99 have overcame or overcome that fear that they had within inside of them. This is why we're here
Mm-hmm.
now, to be able to talk amongst the women, to share our story, because the story that we've been carrying about that photo is why we are stuck, stifled, and in fear.
Mm-hmm.
But when we begin to not necessarily erase it, but just say reconfigure that picture, maybe with a little lighter color of a paint or a sunshine in the corner, or put a smile on the face, then when you look at that, you're changing the consciousness of your mind, which would allow you to grow. And I say be, I didn't put anything after that, to be, because you're not able to be at this point because you allow fear to dictate who you are. But there's so much more about you and who you are when you uncover all of that. You are great. You are powerful. You are love. You are joy. You are self control. You are all those fruit of the spirit. You are all those things. So then you can be able to, like I say, strip away and just be. Just let yourself be. Focus on your thoughts, change your thinking habits, and then realize that you are great. You're
Mm-hmm.
powerful. You are a queen.
Yeah. I like that. I love that. I just love this queen mode that we all went into. And I call people all queens all the time, but it's definitely gonna have a new meaning for me now when I start saying the word queen to women, because it's such a powerful term, you know what I mean? And women, and I think women don't give themselves enough credit for all that we do on a daily basis anyway. You know, we
Mhm.
go through so much as women, just with, between our kids,
Yeah.
relationships, whatever we have to go through, whatever we care. And even today, to get to where I am today, I was running to pick up groceries for tonight because I have to cook dinner and I got my little kids and stuff like that. But all of my life and everything that I have to go through collectively, I look at all of those things as they begin to come, as a part of my purpose. Everything
Mhm.
that you go through in your life, everything that God puts you through, not God, everything that happens to you in your life, God will use as a part of your testimony.
Absolutely.
He will give you beauty for ashes. So yeah,
Amen.
you fearful right now, but that's a part of the lesson you had to do to get to where you're gonna go. So whatever's happening in your life, pay attention to the lessons that God is trying to teach you right now, because that thing is molding you for something that's getting ready to happen in the future. I
Yes.
remember before I had kids, I would always babysit kids, and I
Mhm.
worked in childcare, and I would do different things with kids and try to find out about kids. At the time, I didn't have no kids. I never thought I was having kids. But at the time I was going through those things, it was prepping me for what I was getting ready to do. So when I became a mom, this wasn't my first rodeo. I had already done a lot of things that I had to do. And that's a physical example, but it's spiritual things we go through as well, emotional things that pop up in our life as well. God is preparing you for later on down the line. You know what I'm saying? And
That's it.
jobs that I worked and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I know how to do administrative work. I know how to do that. God is prepping you for something now. So in the season, even in your fear, there's a lesson. You know what I'm
That's it.
saying? It's a lesson in the fear. It's a lesson in the things that you're going through right now, today. Even if you are scared, I want you to know that you're okay.
Yeah.
It's
You're okay.
temporary. It's
It's
temporary.
okay.
Yeah, it's
I-
okay.
It's okay. All right. You know?
Yeah, it
Just keep
is.
living. Just that's all I want to do. Just keep living. Life. COVID didn't teach you that life was short. You better know it's short.
Mhm.
So just keep living. I love it.
Absolutely. This was so good, y'all. I enjoyed it, everything about it. I want people, what I want people to know too, like you said, just keep living. And it's okay, whatever stage you're in, if you still in fear and you just can't do it, keep living. Keep
Mm-hmm.
making baby steps. Keep doing things that get you closer to your goal. I promise you, as long as you getting up and doing something and making a move toward what you want to do, you may not be able to leave that job full, but you're still working at night when you go home. You know what I
Right.
mean? You may not be able to do all the things that you want to do, and you may not be able to stay and go and travel, but do a little bit at a time. I remember when I had flew on a plane, but I started looking at flights, just curiously looking and seeing, let me see how much it'll cost. I
Yeah.
ain't been on a plane. I ain't never had a lot of money to be even able to purchase a ticket. I grew up really poor, so I never flew nowhere. We always drove in the car if we did go somewhere, and it wasn't nowhere far, maybe down, to another city, but never no on no real vacations. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I got older, I started researching flights just to test and see. Let me just see what it costs.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got the money right now. I ain't got nothing in my bank account, but let me look on there and see how much it costs. And even when I got in the process of looking for houses, I got on Zillow and I said, let me see how much the house costs. I ain't got no money for the house, but I just want to see. I just want to see what I could do if I was able to get there, how much it gonna cost. So
Yeah.
I need to know what I need to save up or what the process is, and get around folks that's gonna teach you and show you and get you to
Yeah.
that next level. You may be still scared to go outside and do that thing, but start getting your mind right. Even if you
That's
got
it.
to start reading about it and looking it up on the internet or whatever
Yeah.
it may
Look,
be.
walk to the front door and open the door and just look out. That's
Yeah.
a start.
Yes, photo. Hear a story about what you want to do, and listen to something that
Yeah.
gets you closer to where you want to be. And I did that all the time. And I remember having my list, of things I wanted to do, my bucket list. I had a
Mm-hmm.
bucket list of things I wanted to do, and I would just writing stuff down. And one day I got real crazy and started writing what I thought was crazy at the time. And I was about, I don't know, 30 at the time, and I still hadn't found a man, whatever. And I said, well, I want to get married and I want to have these kids. I started getting very specific at that time. And I said, I'm really pushing it with this, or whatever. I want to be married. I want to have my own home. I want a new car. I want this much money in the bank. And when I tell you, Miss Crystal, those things on that list, one by one, begin to come into
Yeah.
manifest right
Change
in
your
my
thoughts.
house.
You focus on your
Man.
see. That's what I meant when I said that. When
Yes.
you focus on your thoughts, they
Mhm.
begin to change around in you and then around you.
Yes.
Where we fall short is people's when we begin to change, people still see us like we was,
Right.
right? If
Mhm.
they notice the difference, but they like, I remember when. Yeah, I do too, but I'm not there anymore, right?
Right.
I've I've elevated. So yes, you have to change your thoughts. You hit it right there.
Yeah.
Changing your thoughts changed your life, didn't it?
Absolutely. Yes,
Right?
ma'am. It did. Yeah, when
Mm-hmm.
I started to see myself different,
Yep,
I told you I just couldn't even see myself like that. But when I began to see myself as a wife,
that's
I began
it.
to see myself as a mother. I began to see myself in a home, in a car, in traveling. I went
Mm-hmm.
to Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles last month, and I got on that plane. I said, "Man, I remember it was a time I didn't even have gas money to go from here to that grocery store. And
Ooh,
when
but
I
God,
did get there, I couldn't purchase nothing in there because I didn't put everything I had in the tank. I remember being that broke." And I always try to remind myself because it humbles me and reminds me of where God
mm-hmm.
brought me from.
Yeah.
I always look back at point A because I remember where God brought me from. He brought me
Mm-hmm.
from a mighty long way. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying?
yes,
Coming
ma'am.
from a place where, wow, you did this ain't what people where we from get. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? We don't
Yes.
get this type of stuff. So to look back at my life and see where I am now versus where I used to be, I know it was nothing but God, but it was a decision I had to
Mhm.
make that I was
Yes.
no longer going to stay in fear. And I
Yes.
think when we begin to make that decision,
That conscious decision.
man,
It
man,
changes everything. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I
Mhm.
do appreciate you having me because we could talk on here.
Right. I can still go on and on. We got about 5 minutes on here, but thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate y'all for coming on here. Thank you, Miss Crystal, so very much. And you already know I'm gonna have you back on here or somewhere, y'all. We're gonna be somewhere, hopefully in person soon. We got announcements coming up, and hopefully you'll see all of us in person at some point in the next couple of months, y'all. But I appreciate you, ladies, for listening. Leave us comments, share our video. And Miss Crystal, let everybody know how we can reach you, or how we can contact you on social media, or how can we get a hold of you and
You
in your
can
ministry.
get me at what is my Crystal girl, what's my website? www.crystalscarborough.com. That's it.
Okay.
crystalscarborough.com. And
Okay.
that's really IG, TikTok, everywhere.
You got a TikTok?
I do. I'm growing it. I'm
I
really
gotta
growing
add you
it,
on
and I
TikTok. I
like
just
it.
got one too.
Yes, I've seen you. I'll be
You
friends
did?
you.
Yeah, okay, good. I have to add you back. I don't see if you follow me or not, but okay, if you on there, I'm gonna add you. Yeah, I love TikTok now, y'all. I'm gonna really start doing some videos on there because I haven't really did a lot on there. But I like TikTok. It's
I do too. I do.
but
The
okay,
people
ladies, thank you.
are different. I like
Yeah,
it.
it is. It's a different little avenue. I like all
Mhm.
of the music and everything that come
Yeah,
with it that you get to do. But
yeah.
anyway, thank you ladies, so much for listening. Thank you, Miss Crystal, and I'll see you back here
Yes, ma'am.
next week, guys. We'll be back on Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Tune in; it will be good, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me.
You welcome. I
Love you
enjoyed
guys.
it.